I am Luciana Hartwin. Welcome to the Lilithverse. As always, if you find value here, please share, like, comment, and subscribe. About a year ago, I did a couple of fictional stories speculating on the first meeting between Lilith and Lucifer, and also a meeting between Lilith and Eve. One of all of you asked me to do a deeper dive on Lilith and Samael. So that video should have dropped a few days ago. So I thought it might be interesting to speculate on the first meeting of Lilith and Samael, the angel of death. Lilith, weary and alone, cast from her home in the Garden of Eden, wandered a desolate landscape. Years had passed since her expulsion from Eden. The angels had cursed her as a demon and cast her out into the desert. The betrayal she'd suffered at the hands of Adam and God had left her feeling abandoned and alone. While Adam, once her beloved companion, had found fresh love and was flourishing somewhere out in the world, Lilith was left to wander the desolate landscape, haunted by the memories of her past. She had been cast out of Eden, a paradise she'd once called home, and condemned to a life of exile and suffering. The pain of her betrayal was a constant companion, a wound that refused to heal. Lilith had watched Adam from afar. As he and Eve built a new life together, their happiness a stark contrast to her own lonely misery. She'd yearned to save Eve, to take Eve with her into a loving future. But ultimately, Eve forgave Adam for his selfishness and his manipulation. Eve had been too afraid to follow Lilith into exile. As Lilith wandered the barren lands, she often found herself thinking about her time in Eden. She remembered the beauty of the garden, the sweetness of the fruit, and the joy she had felt in Adam's company, until he revealed his true, controlling nature to her. As long as she'd agreed with him and followed his lead, he remained sweet and loving. But when she stood her ground and demanded equality, everything changed. He revealed himself for what he truly was. She remembered the pain of her exile, the loneliness, the despair, her heart broken by Adam, by God, and finally also by Eve. Sometimes Lilith would imagine a different future, a future where she had not been betrayed, where she'd remained in Eden with Adam, where he had been the man she needed him to be, someone kind, compassionate, and loving. But those were just fantasies, fleeting moments of wishful thinking that were quickly shattered by the harsh reality of her existence. As she continued her journey, Lilith began to realize she could not dwell on the past. She had to find a way to move forward, to create a new life for herself. But it was easier said than done. The weight of her past was heavy, and the future looked bleak. One day, as she wandered, a peculiar glow caught her eye. It emanated from a fissure in the earth, a crack that seemed to lead into the very heart of the planet. Curiosity, a spark long dormant, ignited within her. With trepidation, she ventured into the darkness. The cavern was a labyrinth of twisting tunnels, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and decay. Lilith pressed on, her heart pounding in her chest. She had no idea where she was going or what she might find, but she felt compelled to continue. After what felt like hours, she emerged into a vast, underground chamber. The air was still and heavy, and the only sound was the dripping of water from the cavern's ceiling. As Lilith ventured deeper into the cavern, the air grew colder and the darkness more profound. The walls, once smooth and uniform, began to twist and contort, forming grotesque shapes that seemed to writhe and wriggle in the darkness. A faint glow caught her eye, emanating from a small alcove. As she approached, she could hear a soft, rhythmic sound, like the beating of a heart. With trepidation, she peered into the alcove. There, bathed in a soft, ethereal light, sat a figure. The figure was tall and slender, with a face that was both beautiful and haunting. Its eyes a deep, inky black. They seemed to pierce through the darkness. As Lilith drew closer, she recognized the figure. It was Samael, the angel of death, one of the most feared and powerful beings in the divine realm. She'd heard tales of him, of his rebellion against God, and his subsequent fall from grace. But she never imagined encountering him in person, let alone in the depths of some obscure cavern. Samael looked up as Lilith approached, his eyes filled with a knowing sadness. He'd expected her to come. After all, he'd been watching her for some time, waiting for the moment when she would finally seek him out. "You have found me," he said, his voice a whisper in the cavern's depths. Lilith nodded, her heart racing. "I had heard rumors of this place, a sanctuary for the fallen." Samael nodded, a bitter-sweet expression on his face. "It is more than that, Lilith. It is a place where we can be free from the chains of the divine, a place where we can forge our own destiny." Lilith's eyes filled with hope. She'd been searching for a way out of her loneliness and her exile. Perhaps this was it. "How can I help?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Samael stood up, his figure towering over Lilith. "Together we can create a new world, a world free from the tyranny of heaven." Lilith hesitated, her mind racing. The choice before her was a difficult one: to follow Samael and embrace a future unknown, or to continue her solitary existence, forever haunted by the memory of Eden. As she pondered her decision, Samael spoke again. "I know you have suffered greatly, Lilith. You have been cast out, rejected, and alone. But there is hope. We can rise above our pain and create something truly extraordinary." Lilith's heart ached with the weight of her memories. She thought of Eden, of her love for Eve, and of the betrayal she had suffered. But she thought also of the freedom that Samael promised, a world where she could be herself, without fear or judgment. "I will help you," she said, her voice firm and decided. "I will stand by your side." Samael's eyes lit up with joy. "Thank you, Lilith. Together we can achieve great things." Together they walked away from their cavern, their footsteps echoing in the darkness. Lilith felt a sense of purpose for the first time in a long time. She had hope. She'd found a companion, a fellow outcast, who shared her dreams of a better world. Together, they would rise from the ashes of their fallen existence and create a new dawn, a dawn where the fallen would reign supreme, and the tyranny of the divine would be no more. Now, that's probably not how it happened, but it's interesting to speculate about. If you found value here, please share, like, comment, and subscribe. I am Luciana Hartwin. Thank you for joining me today here in the Lilith Verse.